Chapter 10. I did not know why I jumped out that car then, but I do now. I was really just a fragile being. The alcohol I used was not helping me cope with mourning my brother or recovering from any of those abusive relationships. The trust I had placed into others in my circle had just been a huge mistake. But they were all I knew. I had bitten off way more than I could handle, and running as if nothing had happened was not working anymore. But I put on a good act. The relationship with my adopted mom was not concrete, and this new relationship with my birth mom had really scared the hell out of me. I was told by a family member upon arriving for our reunion very harshly some things that I think my birth mom would have wanted to tell me herself. This changed the momentum of the trip. I did not want to bring it up myself, but it weighed heavily on my mind. I was not able to process what I had been told, and I will not go into details about it. It was very painful. Under that pressure of meeting everyone and being overwhelmed, meeting my brother's daughter, just being reunited with a family that I had no recollection of was a lot. I ran. I wanted to literally run into another lifetime, just warp. I knew that wasn't possible, but I was a dreamer and I still am. I waited a while before explaining to my birth mom what had happened and why I was so fearful of spending any time alone with her. She was very upset and she felt very betrayed as we would not get a chance to redo this reunion. But time had passed. I reassured my birth mom I did not care what she had done in her past. I did not care. That wasn't what I was here for. I wasn't there for to understand. I just wanted my mom. I had already blown it with my adopted mom. She couldn't stand me. Most of the family couldn't. She was getting old, and I knew I had one last shot. It was now or never. Me and my birth mom would talk, and she would tell me memories about my brother and cousins and aunts and uncles. I even grew attached to his daughter and her mom. I had no idea for about 4 years that my brother was even a father. That still hurts to this day. I don't care about the past. It cannot be undone, but those wounds are real and they do not heal. I had many milestones that I was conditioned to never expect. So getting through them is very hard at moments. When I became a mom, I was able to forgive the two women in my life. But until then, I showed them no mercy for my pain. I tried to take my relationship with my boyfriend seriously, but I was preoccupied with my new family. My shows in Philadelphia kept being scheduled, and I started making trips on my own. The audition I won in New York was coming up, and I planned to stay a week with my aunt and my birth mom to get to know them a little better. We would talk a lot on the phone, and it made sense to just see them since I was going back and forth to Philly. So I get a ride from my boyfriend to the airport, and I make my way up north. No one would agree to go with me to New York. I was terrified. I had never been in New York in my life, but I refused to miss my audition. I didn't bring any alcohol, and I was not my normal self at all. I was happy for being with my birth family, finally, but very uneasy going to New York by myself. I could not shake my nervousness, and I completely ruined my audition. This is the second time I have ever admitted this to anyone. I was devastated. Now I'm ready to leave Philly, and I'm in the bus station listening to my headphones, waiting for my bus to leave. I'm just singing along to my album, and this guy out of nowhere just stops me. He asked if he could listen, and I'm like, yeah, no problem. So as he listens, he's like, well, who is this? I explained it's me. He asked, this is you? He said, well, where are you going? And I said, I'm going back to North Carolina. I have to go back to work. Messed up an audition. I just was like broken. I kind of gave up on myself, I guess. But then I'm worried. I'm like, I do not know this man. Philly can be a little crazy at times. So I was very skeptical about even continuing this conversation. Out of nowhere, he makes me a deal. He says if I stay in Philadelphia for another week, I will be able to go to the biggest recording studio in Philadelphia. I was hearing him, but I wasn't really falling for what he was saying. So I called my aunt. I'm repeating what he's telling me, and she's like, "Yeah, that's a real big studio. You got to know who's been in there." So she speaks to him and told him if I stayed and went anywhere with him, that he would have to leave his license plate number, social security number, address, phone number, and some. She was playing no games. He got me a car, sent me back to my aunt's. He even went as far as to extend my ticket. So I knew then this was for real. Now I was completely blown away. As soon as I started to give up, out of the blue, another opportunity just came out of nowhere. I knew many artists that came out of the studio, and I could not believe that I would be able to even stand in there, let alone go in the booth and sing on the microphone. My birth mom came over with my niece and a few family members. We was hype. Mom was turning 40 this year, and she had 40s about liquor. Seriously. She drank almost every one of them, and what she didn't drink, I drank. This is when I started to realize that this drinking habit of mine wasn't just picked up. It was actually rooted in my DNA. I started to embrace alcohol even more after I learned that it was a common tool used in my bloodline. And I was very functional, and most would never even know that I was drunk. I did decide to lay off the drinking as much while frequenting this recording studio and being around these focused people. I had practiced being okay subconsciously and gotten pretty good at it. It was time for me to go to the studio, and the guy I met at the bus station, who was a twin, I spoke with my aunt and ensured that I would be in safe hands, and we were off. He was a really, really nice person, and he was very genuine. I had not mentioned any of this to my boyfriend because I was feeling tension between us when it came to my talent and how I really wanted to use it. When we got to the studio, he buzzed, and we were letting. I was immediately introduced to one of the legendary owners. He was so nice and really made me feel at home. Next, I was introduced to a producer who had worked with many artists in the industry, even out of Philly at this time. I was walking on clouds. Everyone was just down to earth. It was like an aura in the studio. It was amazing. He was working with this rapper, and we all got acquainted. I wound up doing a hook for this rapper. It was amazing. They gave me songs to write to. I sat there with them. I sang a little bit. It was like nothing I had ever imagined. I was so at home with them. It was like an aura of all of this talent, just musically inclined talent. And when we got together, it was like magic. There's nothing better than to me, there's nothing better than to make music. Hearing music in your head is a blessing and a curse. It's always there. So, not manifesting or working on this music to create it, it's torture. Not being able to express that entity because it's real, it can drain you. I felt like this power shift was needed. I didn't want to make my boyfriend mad, but I wanted to make my dream come true. That was my goal. It's like I had to prove to myself and everyone else what I really wanted. That was the hardest part. My relationships were really impacting my ability to focus on my dream, and that is where I went wrong so many times. I started being introduced to some pretty prominent people in the industry. My boyfriend and I wound up breaking up, and I decided to move to Philly for good to work on my music and to start my life that I felt had been taken from me. A life with my birth family.